Welcome back to In Focus. We all have heard by now that last week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott busted illegal aliens over to Vice President Kamala Harris's home in D.C. It was amazing. We've talked about it extensively on the show. Now, the best part about this is Kamala is one of the biggest voices claiming the border is secure. I don't have to remind you, but I'm going to anyways. Let's watch it.
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
We have a secure border as people are crossing by the hundreds of thousands. And just as most things in the Biden administration that they tell us, it's very far from the truth. That's why Greg Abbott did what he did, and his attempt bid success, as Democrats were furious. Former Texas representative and candidate for governor, Beto, or Beta, depending on how you pronounce it, Beto O'Rourke, we'll go with that one. He said in an interview on Wednesday that this political stunt was too cruel and unkind. Let's watch.
Greg Abbott busing people to all over the country to prove a point. You're against that. You've spoken out against it multiple times. But more than 50% of Texans go, yeah, this is the right move because it sends a message to Washington, D.C. How do you work that in your mind, the idea that you are opposed to so many Texans where they're saying, no, this is actually what we want?
I actually think that this extremism that we see in our current governor and government in Texas is reflective of the fact that we have a badly broken democracy. 7 million Texans didn't vote in the last election in 2020. 7 million who were eligible to did not. And if a majority right now thinks that busing migrants to D.C. or Chicago is a good idea, maybe, as you suggested, it's a reflection of the fact that our immigration system is so badly broken and people want to do something.
Unkind? You know, I'm glad Beto O'Rourke brought up this point. It's very important to be kind. Isn't this you, by the way, Beto?
And knock him down dead up against kids at 5 feet. It may be funny to you, but it's not funny to me, okay?
So kind. Beto's a very kind guy. Joining me now is former congressional candidate and political activist Jameson Ellis. Jameson, Beto is very concerned about being kind to people who come to our country and break our laws. I'm not saying that we should treat them poorly. I don't think sending illegal aliens to Martha's Vineyard and to these ritzy towns, that's far from treating poorly. I wish they would ship me there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because you had Kamala saying that we have a secure border. Well, I mean, I can tell you that this year alone, in less than 10 months, we've had 2 million illegals cross over the border. And out of those 2 million, 800,000 are single military-aged men that are wearing black and camouflage. That's very concerning. And then they're trafficking women, children, fentanyl. Like, nobody's talking about this stuff, at least nobody in our federal government. And, me living here in Texas, I'm witnessing some of the effects of it firsthand. And so when Beto says that that's not very nice, it's nicer than what I would do, because in my opinion, we should be busing them back across the border.
Yeah.
And so, the way that I kind of compare sending them to Martha's Vineyard is kind of like, if you imagine for a second that somebody's trying to break into your house, and what do you do at that point? Like in real life, what do you do? Do you practice your First Amendment right? Or sorry, your Second Amendment right? I do. That's what I would do wearing this shirt here today.
Love it.
Do you call the police, or do you invite them in and give them access to all of your amenities? Or do you push them further into your home, maybe to say, and offer them a bedroom, right? Maybe you feed them, you offer them a bedroom next to your daughter's bedroom, and then you leave, you go to work the next day, and you trust them with your family. Right? I know this is obviously a criminal, but yet that's what's happening right now with these illegals, and we're busing them further into the country to cities and states where it's going to be easier for the Democrats to harvest illegal votes, by the way. Now, if it were me, I would be putting them on a bus and sending them right back across the border, because the federal government is in violation of Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. And I would invoke Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 and declare an invasion like 30 counties here in Texas already have.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. So Beto definitely wouldn't like me.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't like either of us, Jameson, and it's a tough dichotomy here, because on one hand you do think that, okay, we're trying to deport all of these people, the Biden administration won't let us, and we don't have support from anyone on the left, so okay, if you're going to say we can't bust them, then we're going to show you what it's like to live in Texas and live in Arizona and live down by the border. So I am all on board.
It's amusing.
Yeah, I'm all on board
sure.
with sending them back to Mexico because they broke our laws to come here. But I also understand the perspective that at some point, if you're not able to do that, then okay, then we're going to stick it to the left until they acknowledge the crisis that it is. Do you think that they will if we keep doing that?
No, I don't. The left doesn't care. Again, whenever I take into account that they're going to make a big deal on the media, right? But I think that when everything's said and done, I think they would like more illegals, because again, all we're doing, it's just my humble opinion, we're sending more illegals where it'll make them easier to vote illegally. Yeah. And I can tell you, if I was on the left, I'd be like, send them up here because we'll use them to cheat even more. We'll use them to harvest even more illegal votes. Mm-hmm. And so, but I do find it hilarious, and I do acknowledge that, yeah, they're complaining. They're complaining. And I think Martha's Vineyard had the right idea. What was it? In less than 24 hours, they were gone.
Deported them.
Right. So yeah, Martha's Vineyard had the right idea. I wish that we had leadership along our southern border, in the states along our southern border, which is why I love what Kari Lake has, if elected to governor, she's already trying to put together a coalition of states that are going to declare an invasion along the border and actually do something about it. And so I'm definitely pulling for Kari Lake.
Yeah, as am I. She's great. Now, we talk about all of this. The left says that not only should we welcome all these people in, we should love it. We should be happy about it and turn a blind eye to all the human trafficking, all the drug trafficking, all the everything else that comes with it, sex trafficking and the lot. We should just be happy about it. Here's something else they say we should be happy about, at least according to Fortune magazine. Let's throw up the headline right here. Inflation. This headline from Fortune magazine. Why you should be happy about inflation and worried about something else, top economist Brad DeLong says. Now, his argument, I believe, is that we shouldn't be worried about inflation. We should be worried about stagflation. But how do we get to stagflation, Jameson? I think inflation is what causes stagflation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an economist, right? I'm just a common sense guy. Right. I'm an average, everyday, ordinary American, but I can say this, is that I seem to remember Milton Friedman saying that inflation is created by government, and it's created by government spending, and it is created by the government continuing to print money. I don't have a printing press to print, continue printing money. And one of the questions I always like to ask is, some people say, well, is that really an issue? The government's just trying to take care of us. Well, the question I ask everybody is, can you name one thing, just one thing that governments ever touch that they've made better? Because they literally destroy everything they touch. And then let's not forget about 2020. Okay, so, during the lockdowns, right? How many people in Washington stood idly by as big government tyrants mandated masks, destroyed small businesses, destroyed family incomes, right? And I can tell you that here in District 2, where I live, one of my favorite restaurants closed down during the lockdowns. Small business, had some amazing good old-fashioned Texas barbecue, and this spending, this government spending, I happen to live in a district where my Republican representation voted yes on a $1.5 trillion omnibus that funded Biden's vaccine mandates through the end of Biden's first term. And he also voted yes to send $40 billion to Ukraine. What about American citizens? What about the average everyday person that is robbing Peter to pay Paul, that's having to rework 2 months' budget just to see if they can have enough money to put tires on the car? No. Inflation is a result, and is it the fault of the government? And I can tell you, is it a good thing? I don't know. Let's go ask the average, everyday, working class American that is struggling just to put gas in their tank.
Yeah, we can see it with our own two eyes. It's obviously a detrimental thing to American families. I know a lot of families who, even before inflation was at 8.3%, even before that, they're having to work long hours or multiple jobs to put food on the table. So you can only imagine how much worse it is for them under this administration. Jameson Ellis, great to have you on the program, my friend. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it.
And thanks for having me on.